It's fight week. It's fight week. It's fight week. It's fight week. Yo, it's fight week. Oh, you can tell I'm happy, right? Because it's fight week, baby. Let's get into it. We're back, folks. Welcome to episode 4 of the TDC show. Let's have a conversation. You know I like my conversations about MMA. Yeah, so far it's been a pretty slow week in the fight world. Not much really happening. A lot of the news coming out has been, for the most part, snooze fest, and nothing seems to be like super exciting, except it's fight week. However, I've still been able to pull out some topics and some things that happened since UFC Saudi Arabia that I'd like us to have a conversation about, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. You guys let me know what you think, because I'm definitely going to share mine, because like I keep saying, this is us thing. This is us sitting down having a conversation about our beloved sport. A couple of topics I'm going to go into today will be one, Conor McGregor. Conor, it's always something with Conor. Something always pops up. Some news, some tweet, some deleted tweet, some injury, some interview, some antic. Whatever it is, we'll see. You stay tuned and we're going to have a conversation about it. Second one would be, we'll have a conversation about Khabib. Apparently some things just happened recently in Dagestan and it's not looking too good. I'm going to go into that in detail later. Stay tuned if you want to know what my thoughts on those things are. Next, we want to go into some updates on Whitaker. So this will be essentially some post-UFC Saudi Arabia updates on Bobby Knuckles. My man, Bobby Knuckles. Got a little things to say. I got a few things to say about that. Then, following up from that, we'll transition into Michael Venom Page, MVP. Recently went on a podcast on the Mighty Cast with Demetrius Johnson. Pretty good conversations. I'm going to share my thoughts on that as well. And then, before we round up today's episode, I'm going to share my preferences for who I want to win on the fight card at UFC 303. And I say preferences for who I want to win, not that I'm picking winners. And I say this, I'm not predicting matches as well. And I say this for obvious reasons. I'm going to tell you why I use that exact terminology going forward. You guys, you probably agree with me or not. But without much ado, let us get right into it. Conor McGregor. What's going on with my dude? I feel like every time I do an episode, I have something to say about Conor, because Conor is always in the news and it's never for something good. It's always some crap going on and I don't get it. Bro. I don't get why Conor has to be always so negative. News can't come out from Conor's side that is too positive. I don't know. Anyway, the antics today is this. Recently, Dustin the Diamond Poirier was on the, what's his name? Theo Von, the Theo Von podcast. Dustin was given an interview, having a conversation with Theo Von. And he told us a story about how, a while ago, back in the day, somebody tried to disrespect his wife at a Mardi Gras party. And then him and his boys eventually got into a fight over the incident. Very respectful. You're trying to defend your woman. I understand it. Trust me, it's a thing. I'm sorry about that. That happens. I'm gonna respect you guys next time. Trying to switch that damn phone off. But anyway, back to Dustin. So Dustin told us that story, which for the most part was an admirable story. And then out of nowhere, guess what happens? Conor just starts sending out tweets essentially implying that Dustin should do a DNA test for his daughter. Bruh, come on, bruh. That is something just as stupid as all the stuff you said before the Khabib fight that actually intensified the fight. So my take on this is very simple. Number one, you cannot bring family into trash talking conversations. I don't care what the reason is. You can't bring family, you can't bring religion into it. And in fact, I actually think you shouldn't even bring politics into trash talking. Those things should stay out of the conversation. It's an unwritten rule. You don't go after the family. Fighters typically understand that, right? So when you start to go and make stupid statements like that, just almost pretty much like the one he made in the ring when he broke his leg, and he was saying, "Your wife is in my DM.
Your wife is in me DMs, hey baby, hit me back on my chat later."
No, bro. Those kind of statements are pretty stupid. And the reason why I say this is this. You can have those kinds of conversations, or you can say certain things in the context of promoting a fight. It's still no excuse, but at least that's a motive. There's a motive for saying XYZ thing to get people riled up. You're trying to, go into mental warfare with your opponent, and you're also simultaneously trying to sell the fight. Trying to cut a promo for the fight so you can make more money. And that sort of, gives you a reason to go at people that way. I understand it. I understand that aspect of the game. I understand that aspect of the business. I completely get it. But in this case, you're going after Dustin Poirier's wife and daughter once again when you have no fight with Dustin and when you've lost 2 out of your 3 fights with Dustin. And also, it might be safe to point out at this point that you're never going to get a fight with Dustin Poirier ever again. Like, there will be no point. The chances of you fighting Dustin, it's pretty slim. So what will be the point? Why are you going after Dustin's family once again? For what? Because you're a scumbag. That's exactly why you went for Dustin's family. Because you're a scumbag, Conor. That's all I'll say. Because nothing else makes sense. Dustin has moved on. Dustin has fought for the belt. Actually, he's fought for 2 belts since he fought you. He's fought for the BMF belt, when he got his ass KO'd. And he's fought for the light heavyweight title fight against Islam Makhachev, where he got submitted again. And I hate to point it out, but it just occurred to me that every time Dustin fights for a title, the light heavyweight title to be specific, he gets finished by submission by Khabib, Charles Oliveira, and by Islam Makhachev of more recent memories. Still has my big respect, man. Everybody knows the diamond can scrap. He brought out the dog in Islam in that fight. No doubt about it. So when he goes on to make these kind of great things and has this great fight and is still, you know, in his illustrious career, what would be the point of coming after him or his family when you and him are probably not going to ever fight anymore? Try to make that make sense to me, Conor. It doesn't make any sense. You know, sometimes I understand the fight game is like that. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes, you know, people just open their mouth, open your mouth and take the attention in the mouth, like, you know, like an attention whore. Yes, that hawk tree. You know what I'm saying, right? The hawk tree on attention. Yeah, that's you, Conor. You're a hawk tree attention street worker. That's exactly what you are. I repeat, Conor McGregor is a hawk tree attention-seeking street worker. Yeah, I said it. That's exactly what you are, Conor. Does nothing else make sense? And then sometimes you even make these tweets, and then you don't even have the balls to stand by them. If you're going to be bold enough to make tweets or say things, be bold enough to say things where your ass doesn't get to start apologizing for them. Stand 10 toes deep, you know? Anyway, my point is this, Conor, you're in recovery. My advice is this: focus on the man in front of you. Michael Chandler is no slouch. That is a fight to focus on. And I appreciate you in many ways pulling out, because, again, I think I understand the idea of not risking coming into that fight less than 100%. I get it. It happened the last time with drastic results, so you're being more cautious, and I appreciate that. However, don't lose track of the man in front of you. Don't lose track. That guy is focused, and that guy is going to bring a fight to you. Whether you stand, he's probably not going to go to the ground. He's going to stand up and he's going to bang with you, dear Conor. By the way, guys, did you know, I just saw recently Michael Chandler was tweeting about a potential date. We don't know if it's going to be his next fight that is not Conor, or it's going to be his next fight that is Conor. Just tweeted something about posted something rather about a potential date coming up. Let's see. Fingers crossed that we have something to go by. But I don't know. I'm not exactly holding my breath on that one. Anyway, Conor, stay out of talking about all these things. Stay out of talking about people's families. You know what happened the last time you did that? And it was with Khabib. And you got your ass handed to you for 4 good rounds before you were suffocated in the 4th round, okay? Don't speak about people that way, okay? Now, off the cuff, let's jump into the more recent developments with Khabib Nurmagomedov, aka the Eagle of Dagestan. So guys, some recent news occurred, and it's not really good news if I'm being honest. There was a terrorist attack in Dagestan this week. And it turns out that a lot of people, good number of people lost their lives during this attack. But the worst part about this attack, besides the people who lost their lives, is that, and I'm trying to tie this to our sport. Unfortunately, one of the guys who was involved in the terrorist attack as a terrorist, one of the guys who participated in it, was a former affiliate of Khabib. Apparently they trained together in the past, and Khabib knew the guy. Now Khabib has come out to issue a statement saying, you know, offering condolences to people who lost people that day, family members who lost loved ones. He's come out to make prayers and suggest that, you know, people should stay very vigilant about their environment and stuff like that. A pretty mature statement, if you ask me. However, he's getting some backlash from, you casuals, like, we casuals. Sometimes we just sit behind a phone, pick up the phone, type in all sorts of crap, and then we just send it out into the world because we're too miserable in our actual lives to, spread positivity. People are coming after Khabib, saying Khabib is a has terrorist links and things like that. Listen, bro, you can't control the human mind. You can't control people, and if people have certain affiliations and certain thoughts in their head that they want to execute, if they keep that from you, you will never know. And for all intents and purposes, there is no evidence that suggests Khabib knew this guy was radical. None whatsoever. And if there's no evidence for that, why are we blaming Khabib? Why are we trying to affiliate him to a terrorist attack? The man is a good father, the man is a good fighter, he's a good coach, he's a good friend, he's loyal to his friends. And I'm big on loyalty. And he really has no problem. He's just been quiet, doing interviews and training his partners since he retired from the sport. And then suddenly something like this happens, and it's quite unfortunate, and suddenly people are attributing this tragic event to Khabib. And even Conor has come out to say the same thing once again, that, making certain implications like, oh yeah, he was right about Khabib, and he was right about Khabib, allegedly. It's so stupid. Doesn't make any sense. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think that's where Khabib finds himself, right? As with most people in life, if you try to live for the public, you're probably going to end up in a very bad spot. That's why we just do what we need to do. That's why we wear masks and come on this show and talk crap, so that nobody's going to recognize us and going to kick our asses. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anyway, so back to the Khabib news. My heart and sincere sympathy and condolences go out to everybody who lost a loved one that day in Dagestan, and just everyone around the world who's going through any pain or moment of sadness. I wish you guys all the best, and I hope that you live very fulfilled lives, okay? Hopefully, the Dagestani authorities will get to the bottom of this, and the perpetrators will be brought to book. I really, my heart goes out to the people over there that experienced this, okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. Mr. Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whitaker. So it just recently came out that Bobby Knuckles was dealing with a health issue leading up to his fight at UFC Saudi Arabia. Guys, I don't think you understand the degree to which Bobby Knuckles has my admiration. Many reasons. So first and foremost, he was training for Khamzat Chimaev, which means if the fight had gone through with Khamzat, Bobby Knuckles would have gone into the Khamzat fight with a potential health issue. He took the Aliskerov fight when Khamzat pulled out on short notice. And it turned out he had this health issue that required surgery just a couple of days to the fight. Guys, so he went in there post-surgery, goes in and completely assassinates Aliskerov in under 3 minutes of the very first round by knockout. Stud. That is a stud. Respect, Bobby Knuckles. Respect. You have my respect. And the funny thing is, we never knew about this. We didn't know about this leading to the fight. We didn't know about this immediately after the fight. It took a couple of days for him to return back to Australia, and then his team made this public. You gotta respect that. You gotta have a certain degree of admiration for that dude. Like when Bobby Knuckles is in peak form and he shows up, he always comes to deliver. And to have walked through that injury, the pain, and that kind of surgery, and delivered the absolute classic banger that he did, yeah, respect. Listen, I know he's in a good position, and I always repeat myself, I think Bobby Knuckles and Sean Strickland should fight. Yeah, I really think so. Sean is saying that, being a bit delusional, but he's saying that he's beaten Izzy, and he believes he beat Dricus du Plessis, and that Bobby Knuckles lost to both those guys, so he doesn't feel the need to fight Bobby Knuckles. But Sean, think about this for a bit. You didn't really earn a title shot. Let's get that clear, right? You were supposed to have one more fight before running for the title. You only got elevated to a title shot because Dricus du Plessis was injured and Izzy couldn't wait. So Izzy pulled you in. Granted, you went in that night, you did your thing, you were the better man that day. I understand it. But can we say it for what it is? Sean Strickland, you really didn't earn all this. At least not in my opinion. And then to come back and beat Paulo Costa, who really isn't on a tier or who isn't really a good contender, and then say that is the reason why your next fight should be a title shot, especially when you have Bobby Knuckles waiting there, or Hamzat. Come on now, you have at least one more fight. Plus, you're a champ one time, you lost it on paper. Let's forget about what you feel like. You actually lost it on paper to Dricus du Plessis on the night you guys fought. Your first title defense. So what kind of champ are you? How many champs with one title defenses do we remember? We don't remember. You haven't written your name in the annals of time. At least not enough for us casuals. You know what I'm saying? So keep it frosty, Sean. I think you should fight. I think you should fight Bobby Knuckles. Plus, it's a win-win situation, right? If you fight Bobby Knuckles and you win, you get a title shot, and then you get to add that to your name, your legacy. And then if you lose, you eventually learn from it. You're still at the top. You're still maybe 1 or 2 more fights away from a title shot. So why say no? Anyway, I digress. That was about Bobby Knuckles. Congratulations to Robert Whitaker once again for UFC Saudi Arabia and the win over there. And congratulations for being such a stud, for actually taking that fight on short notice, even after just having a surgery. Okay, respect. Now we transition to Michael Venom Page, Mr. MVP. MVP was recently on the Mighty podcast with Demetrius Johnson. You guys know I've said this in the past that I watch podcasters from MMA guys now, particularly heavy on the Jackson podcast with Rampage Jackson and the Mighty podcast with Demetrius Johnson. And in this episode, it was very interesting to see what's his name? MVP. Talk about the history of how he started with martial arts and all that, his skill set. But a particular thing that interested me was the fact that he believes that Ian Garry is being disrespectful to him. And rightly so. Ian talks a lot of crap. So, but then MVP, that is why you go in there and you completely take him out. In fact, if I'm being honest, MVP, what I would like you to do, do you remember your fight with Cyborg, MVP? Do you remember how Cyborg tried to come in for a takedown and you landed this absolutely perfectly timed flying knee? I think that flying knee was probably the most devastating flying knee in the history of flying knees. landed it straight on the skull of Cyborg, completely crushed his skull, so much so that when he had surgery, they had to put in metal plates to reattach the skull, and that was the end of Cyborg's fighting career because his skull has been compromised. Yeah, MVP, I would like you to plant that exact same knee right here in the kisser of Ian Garry. You know what I'm saying? I don't like Ian Garry's talk. I respect his fighting skills. I don't like his persona and how he talks outside the ring. Don't hate him. Don't hate anybody. He's just very annoying. And you know, he's coming in with that young confidence that makes them think they are invincible. You know, the veteran to teach that little boy a good lesson. Plant it exactly here. Take out the incisors, right? To top 2 and bottom 2. That way, he doesn't get to talk smack for a very long time. I really appreciate it if you do that, okay? MVP, I got you. Don't worry. I really think you got this one too, right? One thing I do know about that fight that keeps me up at night, it's going to be a strike fest. And I love striking fights. Now, don't get me wrong. MMA is an all-around game. You gotta be able to stand and bang. You gotta be able to roll on the ground if it gets there, right? You gotta be well-rounded. However, most of us casuals, we like the fights that are standing up and striking, and we hopefully want to see a KO. That's all we're asking for. We ain't asking for much. We're asking for KOs when we watch. It's $85 we pay for that. We want to see some level of entertainment. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you this fight, I don't want to see anybody wrestling. MVP has mentioned that he's going to turn Ian Garry into a wrestler. We'll see about that. But you know where my money is on. You know where money is at. I got you, MVP. Do it for us, okay? Now, on to my preferences for UFC 303. I'll start by saying this. I don't like to predict fights. The fight game is just so unpredictable. Many times you would think, okay, well, this person is going to do this. I'm going to have this pick. This person is going to do this thing. He's going to do this great thing. And then he goes in there and he's just completely washed up. Whereas he looked like the person on paper who could have delivered. But the game is so unpredictable. It is so unpredictable. I know so many times where I've thought, okay, yeah, this person is going to win, and they did not. And there's many times I thought, well, this person is going to lose, and they did not. So I've learned not to predict or make picks. However, I do have preferences, because I am biased to some fighters. You know, like most of you are. I am biased to some fighters, and I make no qualms about making that known. I have no shame in exposing that part of my love for the game. The fact that I am biased towards some fighters. I like some fighters. Hey, I can't help it. I like Sean O'Malley. I know, even if he has drug issues, I like TJ Dillashaw. Who else? Who's fighting? I like Izzy's fighting style. I like, man, listen, guys, I love a lot of people. I like Holly Holmes. I like Rose Namajunas. I like how Tug Rose, really mixes it in. Valentina Shevchenko. I know John Jones, if I'm being honest. I like these fighting styles. And every time they come out to fight, Aspinall, that's another dude that I really like. And then there's some I'm not really feeling them. I'll give you an example. I'm definitely not feeling Sean Strickland, and I'm definitely not feeling Leon Edwards. I also don't feel Nate Diaz. The persona is exciting, but Nate's fights, I don't know. If Nate wasn't who Nate was, I don't know that his fighting style would be so entertaining. It really isn't. But anyway, that's for another day, okay? So I'm going to give you guys my preferred fighters for each of the fights on the main card, because I also don't want to go through the entire fight card all through from the main cards to the prelims or the early prelims. I don't want to have to do that. That's just going to take too much time. It's just going to be too much of a mess. But for each time I do a video talking about fight week or the upcoming fight pay-per-view card, I will tell you my preferred fighters for each match. Now let's start with MVP and MVP versus Ian Garry. After I just literally a couple of minutes ago told you about my preference regarding MVP and Ian Garry and what my request is from MVP during that fight, you already know I'm picking MVP as my preferred fighter with the fight with Ian Garry for all the reasons I had mentioned previously, and I think MVP should be able to deliver, okay? Next fight is Maria Bueno Silva versus Macy Chiasson. I'm neutral on that fight. I'm neutral. I'm not picking anybody. All I ask is that both ladies give us an entertaining fight. Paid $85 for this. Give us a good fight. Let's see how it goes. Bueno Silva's last fight was against the title fight, the 145 female title fight against Raquel Pennington. And in that fight, you know, she had barked so much leading up to the fight that when she got into the octagon, I was so surprised she got gassed out in like the second round. And Raquel just pieced her up and eventually won the belt. So yeah, not exactly thrilled. I don't know what I'm looking forward to. I'm like, all right. I'll just watch it. I don't know why she's in there. Maybe she wants to make another title run. Okay, great. Whatever, we'll see it. Please just give us, ladies, just give us a good fight, okay? That's all I ask. Next one, Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. Okay, I'm going to go into the details of this fight and how we got here. I've done it in the previous video, but I'm going to do it once again. Listen to this. Jamal Hill was supposed to fight Khalil Roundtree at UFC 303. Khalil Roundtree eventually popped a couple of weeks ago for performance-enhancing drugs and had to drop out of the fight, leaving Jamal Hill with no opponent. Then my man, Carlos Ulberg, stepped up to fight Jamal Hill and replace, Khalil Roundtree. And I was really looking forward to that fight because I think both guys would have brought out the best in themselves. And I really like Carlos Ulberg's style. I really like those guys from City Kickboxing and how they move, especially when they stand up. And Carlos moves really well. It's like a bigger version of Izzy, you know? So that was the fight. We're looking forward to it. Next thing you know, Jamal Hill has a knee injury and he has to drop out. Now Carlos has nobody else to fight. He's like, oh, damn it. What's next? UFC steps up. Anthony Lionheart Smith. My man steps up. Now, respect. I'm not really a huge fan of Anthony Lionheart Smith. In the octagon, I do think he's okay. Outside the octagon, just how he carries himself with a lot of grace and dignity. But in the octagon, I don't know that I'm really a big fan of Lionheart. He's such a gatekeeper, former title contender, and just hasn't done things that are memorable, right? I swear to God, I think after his career, I don't know that we're going to remember much about him. However, like I keep saying, some things he has done has gained my respect. One, Lionheart, for the most part, got my biggest respect when he fought John Jones, and John Jones illegally kneed him to the head. Could have won the belt that way, but no, my man stuck it out and said, hey, I'm not going to win the belts that way. I want to win it the honorable way. And he proceeded to go on to continue fighting John Jones, even after being kneed to the head. And then he ended up losing the belt, right? He lost the match, which is okay. Anyway, so Lionheart steps in for Carlos Ulberg. They're about to fight. Leading up to the fight, guess what? Carlos Ulberg gets injured. Guys, can you just imagine how many injuries we have at this point? Jamal Hill, Carlos Ulberg, and then It's not an injury, but then, God damn it, Khalil Roundtree popping for performance-enhancing drugs. That's 3 guys have dropped out of this fight. You know, but then the UFC has to save the day again. Actually, scratch that. 4 guys have dropped out of the card. So this is the same card that should have been Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Anyway, so at this point, Roman Dolidze steps up to face Anthony Smith and save the co-main event match. My respect to both guys. I really appreciate the fact that they did this for the fans, but I will be neutral on that one. I don't really have a preferred fighter of either of the two. Not really much to go by. They have good history, but it's not really much to go by. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just watch a good fight. Guys, as usual, just give us something very, very good to work with. That's all. Next will be Poatan versus Yuri Prohaska, the main event, which also came up by chance too, like I said earlier. So my thoughts, I've mentioned in the past that I'm not yet sold on Alex Pereira's all-round skill set. He has done pretty well on paper since he got into the UFC in a very short time. He was there for a title fight. He was undefeated up until that point in the UFC, and then beat Izzy via TKO, a champion that was dominant for many years, right? And then Alex has a rematch with Izzy, loses by a devastating KO, the most iconic KO, giving us iconic images. And then he moves up to light heavyweight, fights Jan Blachowicz because Yuri vacated the belt. I believe, yeah, fought Jan Blachowicz, and then he won the belt, which many people said, you know, a lot of people had Jan Blachowicz winning that fight. No problem. On paper, he won. Poatan won the belt. We're going to work with what's on paper. And then he fought Jamal Hill. Is it? No, sorry, I'm sorry. Poatan then fights Yuri Prohaska, beats Yuri, fought Jamal Hill, beats Jamal Hill. Yuri fought, what was his name at UFC 300? I keep forgetting the name. The guy who fought it at UFC 300. Anyway, him. Alexander Rakic. Yes. Yuri fought Alexander Rakic, kicked his ass, and now he's found himself in a position where Yuri Prohaska and Poatan are fighting for the belt. I'm going to prefer Yuri Prohaska for this fight. I think Yuri is more motivated. He's going to be more measured. And I would like the story for him to win because he never really lost that belt fair and square. So let's at least give him the opportunity to do that. I would like to think he's more focused now. And I think Poatan knows that. But we'll see how it goes. Izzy just predicted that Yuri knocks Poatan out. We'll see. We'll see. But Yuri is my preferred fighter in this fight. And we'll see. No disrespect to Poatan. Poatan has done his thing. But again, I'm not entirely sold on him just yet. So those are my preferences for the main card. However, there are some fights on the prelims that piqued my interest. One of them would be Cub Swanson versus Andre Fili. I like both guys. Going to be a good banger. I already know that these guys are going to come out. They are going to come out to fight. Looking forward to that one. That actually piqued my interest. I'm also neutral. I have no preferred fighter there. Andrei Arlovski and Martin Baudet. I'm still very fascinated by Andrei Arlovski and how he's still fighting at the age that he is. Andrei Arlovski is a former UFC heavyweight champion from a while ago, still fighting today, well into his 40s, and giving these young dudes a run for their money. So I like to say, you know, the name of it. Arlovsky is a big name. I like to see him fight and just see what he's on about. Oh, the last fight on the prelims that has really piqued my interest. My baby, Michelle Waterson. Wow. Michelle is my baby. Michelle is my baby. So, listen. Here, it's a secret, guys. Secret. I actually like to watch a female fights. It's not because you guys, you know why I like it. You guys know why I like it. You guys know, especially when they're on the ground. You guys know why I like it. You know. But I ain't saying nothing. I'm just saying. I really enjoy those fights. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying, Michelle Waterson, ooh, that's my baby girl. Don't touch Michelle. Anyway, I'd love to see her. I'd love to see how that fight turns out. Yeah, I think that's all I got for today. Guys, you know what's up. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment. Let's help grow this platform. I come here and I sit and I try to make this stuff for you guys, but it's all worth it when there's engagement. It's all worth it when you guys talk back to me. It's all worth it when I can exchange thoughts and ideas. And I appreciate those of you who have subscribed so far. And I appreciate those of you who took the time to comment as well. If you notice, I'm still pretty small, so I'm able to comment, reply to comments as much and as often as I can, okay? So, like I said, that's all I got. Hopefully, we'll have a good set of fights on Saturday, and I will come back to you for my recap when the fights are done. All right? I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. I'm out of here.